Frog heel Renault Kangoo won sympathy even in Ukraine. Let's try to figure out why the owners love him so much, and why they dislike him. And is it worth looking for a similar car in the secondary market? The second generation of the Frenchman, the factory series FW/KW, has taken root surprisingly well in Ukraine. Extremely practical and roomy heels briskly click on the asphalt of many of our cities. Despite the fact that Kangoo has not been officially sold in Ukraine for a long time. And when sold, you could buy it with a 1.6-liter gasoline engine or a 1.5-liter turbo diesel. These engines are familiar to us from Dusters and Logans. The gearbox in both cases is a 5-speed manual. After studying the material, we came to a simple conclusion: buying such a bird after using it for commercial purposes is more expensive for yourself. Why do you need twisted mileage, shabby interior and suspension? In addition, are you sure that the Zavgard did not save on changing the oil in the engine and transmission? But from the family of bug-eyed you can safely take. Even the most fierce mother-in-law is not able to provide him with regular overload. In addition, the share of passenger versions of Kangoo in the market is very high. It is worth adding that in the secondary a significant part of the cars is found with 1.5 diesel engines. However, in our case, it is already difficult to consider them a virtue, since problems with high-pressure fuel pumps, a turbocharger and liners that are willingly turning already after 100,000 runs, on cars up to 2010 onwards, make diesel maintenance monstrously expensive against the backdrop of low maintenance costs for reliable gasoline engines and other parts of the vehicle. Practically exemplary on Logans, 5-speed manual gearboxes, in fact, remain the same here. However, regular overloading can easily finish them off already by 150,000 kilometers. This is especially true of the JB3 boxes, which were equipped with 8-valve K7M engines. 4-speed automatic transmissions are very rare. Officially, the 2-pedal Kangoo was not supplied to us. But we don't recommend specifically chasing such machines. DP0 and DP2 boxes are notorious for their tendency to overheat, which in our case means increased wear. Suspension troubles happen, again, in case of overweight abuse. Signs of a tired car will be sagging rear springs or humming wheel bearings. The civilian cars have a minimum of complaints about the suspension. Her margin of safety is simply envy. Otherwise, the heel fully justifies its low cost. This is if we talk about the body, interior and electrics. The angle of inclination of the windshield implies its increased vulnerability to stone chips. Cracks and chips cannot be avoided, and glass replacement will require at least €300. The plastic of the head optics loses its transparency by about 150,000 km. It's normal. Besides, the shades can be changed inexpensively. LCP strength is not different. Chips occur willingly, but the resistance of even bare metal to rust is enviable. Galvanics rules. The weak point is the outer rubber seals of the side windows. Over time, they cease to stay in the allotted places and often can even get lost on the road. The cabin is modest. Besides, the French from Renault are famous for their extraordinary approach to design and ergonomics. The upholstery of the seats, even in the passenger and freight versions, wears out quite quickly and unaesthetically. Willingly collapses and platform emphasis under the left foot. However, the main claims from the owners of Kangoo eventually appear to the electrician. Contacts, limit switches, wiring, an ignition system vulnerable to moisture, a rotten license plate light bulb base. It is not protected from moisture. Sagging door lock switches or rotten contacts on a windshield wiper can cause a short circuit and even fire. In short, Kangoo is good, but far from perfect. However, the shortcomings are not critical and are treated inexpensively. By a run of 80,000 km, 1.6 motors ooze oil through the seals. I need to look after the ignition system. Its interruptions, or rather, an excess of fuel not burned in the cylinders, as a result, can sentence an expensive converter. Sensors, oxygen and crankshaft position, are also not considered the standard of reliability. The main problem of a transmission with a manual gearbox with frequent overloads is the weakening of the damper springs of the clutch disc. But before a run of 100,000 km, this twitching does not appear. However, the disc usually requires replacement at 120 to 140,000 km. The main consumables, stabilizer struts, here sometimes they go up to an incredible 100,000 km. Slightly more tenacious ball bearings. Shock absorbers have to be changed at the turn of 120,000 km. Separately, like ball joints, you can change the silent blocks of the front levers. By the way, they easily live up to 150,000 km. No better or worse than other cars. Plus, when buying, the presence of wheel arch liners. Rear sliding doors should not be afraid, they are convenient. And problems with locks are found not only on them, but also in front. Here, the list of possible problems can be long: starter, alternator, ignition coil, fuel pump, actuator locks, destruction of lamp bases. But the main cause of failures, as a rule, is corrosion. Contacts throughout the machine are poorly protected from moisture, which leads to turmoil.